My husband made millions on YouTube. Millions. But when our baby girl stopped breathing in my arms, when the doctors said they needed $50,000 for the surgery that could save her life, he looked me in the eyes and said we didn't have the money. 3 weeks later, I buried my daughter. 2 months after that, I found the bank statements that proved he'd been lying the entire time. My name is Ivy Martinez. I'm 32 years old, and I'm recording this from a small apartment in Phoenix, Arizona, far away from the man I once loved, far away from the mansion he bought with money he said we didn't have. 8 months ago, I was living what looked like a dream life, married to a successful content creator, living in a 5-bedroom house in Los Angeles, driving a Range Rover, wearing designer clothes. But none of it mattered. None of it could bring back my baby, and none of it could erase what he did. Before I take you back to that hospital room where my world ended, I need you to subscribe right now. We're building this channel to 10,000 subscribers, and your support means everything. Hit that subscribe button, because what I discovered about my husband, about the money he hid while our daughter died, will make you question every perfect life you see online. Nothing is what it seems. Let me take you back to the beginning, back to when I thought I'd married a good man. I met Brandon Walsh 6 years ago at a coffee shop in Santa Monica. I was 26, working as a social media manager for a small boutique, making barely enough to cover rent in my studio apartment. Brandon was 28, funny, charming, and he told me he made YouTube videos for a living. What kind of videos? I'd asked, genuinely curious. Tech reviews mostly. Unboxing new phones, testing gadgets, that kind of thing. It's pretty niche, but I'm building a good following. At the time, he had about 200,000 subscribers. Not huge, but respectable. He showed me his channel on his phone, Brandon Tech TV, and I was impressed. The videos looked professional. The thumbnails were clean. He clearly knew what he was doing. Do you actually make money from this? I'd asked. He'd laughed. Enough to pay my bills and save a little. It's not millions, but I love what I do. That honesty is what made me fall for him. He wasn't bragging. He wasn't flashy. He was just a guy who'd found his passion and was making it work. We dated for a year before he proposed. By then, his channel had grown to 500,000 subscribers. The income had increased too. He moved out of his 1-bedroom apartment into a small house in Culver City. Nothing fancy, but nice, comfortable. Things are really picking up, he told me the night he proposed. I'm getting bigger sponsorship deals. I think in another year or 2, I could really scale this thing. And I want you with me for all of it. I said yes. Of course I said yes. He was kind, supportive, and he treated me like I mattered. After years of dating men who saw me as temporary, Brandon felt like home. We got married in a small ceremony in San Diego, just family and close friends. Nothing extravagant. Brandon said he wanted to save money for our future, for the house we'd buy, for the kids we'd have someday. I loved that about him. He was practical, responsible, not one of those influencers who spent every dollar on status symbols. Or so I thought. In our first year of marriage, Brandon's channel exploded. He hit 1 million subscribers, then 2 million, then 5 million. The algorithm loved him. Every video he posted got hundreds of thousands of views within hours. The sponsorship money poured in. Samsung paid him $50,000 to review their new phone. Apple sent him products before they hit stores. Tech companies flew him to conferences, put him in 5-star hotels, treated him like royalty. Babe, this is insane, he'd say, showing me his latest check. I just made more this month than I made all last year. We upgraded, moved into a beautiful house in Beverly Hills with a pool, a home theater, and a garage that could fit 4 cars. Brandon bought himself a Tesla, bought me the Range Rover, hired a cleaning service, a gardener, a personal assistant to help manage his business. On the outside, we looked like we'd made it, like we were living the influencer dream. But something started changing in Brandon. The more successful he became, the more secretive he got about money. How much did you make this month? I asked once, casually, while we were having dinner. Why do you need to know? His tone was sharp, defensive. I don't need to know. I'm just curious. We're married. I figured we'd be transparent about finances. I handle the money, Ivy. That's how it works. You don't need to worry about it. It felt wrong, but I didn't push. I still had my job. I was still contributing to our household expenses, even though Brandon insisted it wasn't necessary. You should quit, he'd say. Focus on yourself. Take some classes. You don't need to work anymore. But I liked working. I liked having my own money, my own independence. So I kept my job, even though Brandon seemed annoyed by it. Then I got pregnant. We'd been married 2 years when I saw those 2 pink lines on the pregnancy test. I was terrified and excited and overwhelmed all at once. We'd talked about kids, but abstractly. Someday, when we're ready. But here it was, real, happening. Brandon's reaction surprised me. He cried, happy tears. He picked me up and spun me around our kitchen and said, "We're having a baby." We're actually having a baby. For the next few months, he was the perfect husband. He came to every doctor's appointment. He built the nursery himself, painting the walls pale yellow because we'd decided not to find out the gender. He bought baby books and read them cover to cover. "I want to be a great dad," he'd say, his hand on my growing belly. "I want to give this kid everything." At 20 weeks, we found out we were having a girl. Brandon sobbed in the ultrasound room. A daughter. "I'm going to have a daughter." We named her Lily, Lily Rose Walsh. But at 32 weeks, something went wrong. I woke up one morning and I couldn't feel her moving. Usually Lily was active in the mornings, kicking and rolling. But that day, nothing. "Brandon," I shook him awake. "Something's wrong. I can't feel the baby." We rushed to the hospital. The doctors did an ultrasound, and that's when they found it. Lily's heart wasn't functioning properly. Congenital heart defect, severe, life-threatening. "We need to deliver her now," the doctor said. "She needs surgery immediately after birth, or she won't survive." They performed an emergency C-section that afternoon. I barely remember it. The drugs, the panic, the sound of machines beeping, Brandon squeezing my hand so hard it hurt. And then I heard her cry. Weak, but there. My baby girl was alive. They whisked her away to the NICU before I could hold her. Brandon went with her while they stitched me up. When I finally saw Lily 3 hours later, she was so tiny. 4 pounds 2 ounces, hooked up to more tubes and wires than I could count. Her little chest rising and falling with the help of a ventilator. "She's a fighter," the NICU nurse said gently. "But she needs surgery. The defect is repairable, but it's complicated. And expensive." "How expensive?" Brandon asked. "With the surgery, the hospital stay, the follow-up care, you're looking at about $250,000. Do you have insurance?" We did. My insurance through work. But it only covered 80%. We'd be responsible for $50,000 out of pocket. $50,000. I looked at Brandon. My husband. The man who just bought a $70,000 Tesla 2 months ago. The man who lived in a $2 million house. The man who made multiple 6 figures every single month from YouTube. "We have it, right?" I said. "We can pay the 20%? Brandon's face went pale. "I need to make some calls. Figure out the finances." "Figure out the finances?" "Brandon, our daughter needs surgery. Today. They said if we don't do it within 48 hours, she might not make it." I know. Let me talk to my accountant. See what we can access quickly." He left the NICU, left me sitting there alone with our dying daughter. I spent the next 6 hours in that NICU room, holding Lily's tiny hand through the incubator holes, singing to her, begging her to hold on. Brandon came back at midnight. His face told me everything before he even spoke. "We don't have it," he said quietly. "What do you mean we don't have it?" "The money. It's all tied up. Investments, business expenses, taxes. I can't access $50,000 in cash right now." I stared at him. "You bought a Tesla 2 months ago." "That was different. That was financed. You just renovated our kitchen for $80,000. That was a business expense. For filming. Our daughter is dying, Brandon." "I know," he snapped, then lowered his voice. "I know, I'm trying. I've reached out to sponsors, to my family, to everyone. I'm trying to get the money." "What about a loan? Credit cards? Something?" "My credit's maxed out from business expenses. And banks won't give me a loan fast enough." I felt like I was drowning. "So what do we do?" "We wait. We hope insurance negotiates down the cost. We hope the hospital works with us." But Lily didn't have time to wait. The next day, her condition worsened. The doctors said the surgery needed to happen immediately. Not in 48 hours, now. I begged the hospital, begged them to do the surgery and let us pay in installments. The financial counselor was sympathetic but firm. "Mrs. Walsh, we need at least $25,000 upfront for a surgery this extensive. That's our policy. $25,000, half of what we owed." Surely Brandon could find $25,000. I called him. He was at home. "Filming," he'd said. "Filming. While our daughter was dying. Brandon, they need $25,000 up front. Right now. Can you get it?" Long pause. "Ivy, I told you." I don't have liquid cash like that. Then sell something. Sell the Tesla. Sell your camera equipment. Sell the fucking house if you have to. It's not that simple. Our daughter is dying. I know, don't you think I know that? I'm doing everything I can. But he wasn't. He was at home, filming videos, maintaining his upload schedule, keeping his sponsors happy. While Lily died, she passed away at 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, 72 hours after she was born. I was holding her when her tiny heart stopped beating. The nurses tried to revive her, but it was too late. Brandon arrived 20 minutes after she died. He'd been asleep at home, getting rest so I could be strong for you, he said. I didn't speak to him, couldn't speak to him. I just held Lily's body until they made me let go. The funeral was small. Brandon paid for it with a credit card. $10,000 for a casket the size of a shoebox, for flowers that would die in a week, for a burial plot in a cemetery, where I'd have to visit my daughter for the rest of my life. I took a leave of absence from work. I couldn't function, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I moved through our big, empty house like a ghost, hating every expensive piece of furniture, every luxury that had mattered more than my baby's life. Brandon went back to filming within a week. I have to keep working, he said when I confronted him. We have bills. We need income. Our daughter just died. I know, and I'm grieving too. But life goes on, Ivy. The channel can't just stop. I started noticing things after that. Little things that didn't add up. Brandon would come home from meetings with shopping bags from Gucci, Balenciaga, Louis Vuitton. Gifts from sponsors, he'd say. But I'd see the receipts. He was buying them himself. He'd book trips to Vegas, Miami, New York for conferences. But when I asked to come, he'd say it was business only. Our credit card bills came to the house, $30,000 one month, $45,000 the next, all in Brandon's name, all on cards I didn't even know he had. And then one day, 3 months after Lily died, I found an envelope on Brandon's desk. It was addressed to him from Chase Bank. I shouldn't have opened it. But something inside me needed to know. It was a bank statement for an account I'd never seen before. An account with a balance of $847,000. I stood there, shaking, staring at that number. Nearly $1 million, sitting in an account, while our daughter died because we didn't have $50,000. I kept looking through Brandon's desk, found more statements, more accounts, business accounts, personal accounts, investment accounts. In total, Brandon had over $1.2 million in liquid assets, money he could have accessed at any time, money he'd said didn't exist. I photographed everything, every statement, every account number, every balance. Then I put it all back exactly where I'd found it. That night, when Brandon came home, I asked him calmly, "Do we have savings?" "A little. Why?" "How much is a little?" "I don't know. Maybe 20, 30,000? Why are you asking?" He was lying, looking right at me and lying. "Just curious," I said. "I was thinking we should start rebuilding our emergency fund. After everything with Lily." "Good idea. Yeah, we'll work on that." He kissed my forehead and went to his office to edit videos. And I sat on our couch in our expensive house and realized I'd married a monster. For 2 weeks, I said nothing. I went through the motions, made breakfast, did laundry, smiled when Brandon talked about his latest sponsorship deal, pretended everything was normal while I planned my exit. I contacted a divorce lawyer, a good one. I showed her the bank statements, explained about Lily, told her everything. "This is financial abuse," she said immediately. He deliberately withheld money during a medical emergency that resulted in your child's death. In California, that's grounds for a very favorable divorce settlement. "I don't want his money," I said. "I just want out." "You should want his money. He let your daughter die while sitting on over $1 million. He deserves to pay for that, literally." She was right. He did deserve to pay. We built a case. I copied every document I could find, every bank statement, every credit card bill, every receipt for every luxury purchase he'd made in the 6 months before and after Lily's death. The Tesla bought 2 months before she was born, $73,000. The kitchen renovation, $82,000. A trip to Dubai with friends, 1 month after Lily died, $28,000. New camera equipment, $45,000. Designer clothes, $16,000. Watches, $31,000. Meanwhile, our daughter's medical bills sat unpaid. $50,000 that could have saved her life. Bills that had gone to collections because Brandon couldn't access the money. My lawyer filed for divorce on a Wednesday afternoon. She had the papers, served to Brandon at a YouTube convention in Las Vegas where he was a featured speaker, in front of his peers, in front of his fans, in front of everyone who thought he was this wholesome family guy who'd tragically lost his daughter. He called me 17 times in an hour. I didn't answer. He flew home that night, burst through our front door at 2 a.m., still in the suit he'd worn for his conference panel. "Ivy, what the hell is this?" He was holding the divorce papers. "I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You can't just divorce me without talking to me first. Like you talked to me before letting our daughter die?" He froze. "That's not fair." "You had over $1 million, Brandon. I found the statements. I found all of it." His face went white. "You went through my personal files? Our daughter needed $50,000. You had $1 million. You let her die. It wasn't that simple." "It was exactly that simple. The hospital needed $25,000 up front. You had $847,000 in one account alone. You could have written a check. You could have saved her. But you didn't. I was trying to protect our future." "What future? Our daughter is dead. There is no future." He started crying. Big dramatic tears. The same tears he'd cried in YouTube videos about losing Lily. The videos that got millions of views. The videos he'd monetized. "I made a mistake," he sobbed. "I was scared. I panicked. I didn't know what to do." "You knew exactly what to do. You chose money over our baby's life. You chose your image, your lifestyle, your precious YouTube career over our daughter." "That's not true." "You were filming. While she died, you were at home filming a video about the new iPhone. I checked your upload schedule. You posted it 2 days after her funeral." He had no answer for that. "I want you out of this house," I said. "Tonight. Take whatever you can carry. Everything else will split in the divorce. This is my house. Actually, according to California law, it's our house, community property. And my lawyer is very good at making sure women don't get screwed by their lying husbands." Brandon tried to fight it, hired an expensive lawyer, tried to claim the money was all business funds, that he couldn't access it without jeopardizing his company. My lawyer destroyed him with the receipts, the trips, the cars, the watches, the designer clothes, all personal purchases, all made with money he'd claimed didn't exist. The judge was a woman in her 50s. She'd read the entire case file. When Brandon's lawyer tried to argue that miscommunication about finances wasn't grounds for such a harsh settlement, she cut him off. "Counselor, your client had over $1.2 million in liquid assets while his newborn daughter died from a heart condition that required $50,000 in medical treatment. He made luxury purchases before and after her death. He monetized videos about her passing. This isn't miscommunication. This is moral bankruptcy. She awarded me half of everything. The house, the cars, the bank accounts, the retirement funds, $600,000 in liquid cash." Brandon's YouTube channel took a massive hit when the story leaked. Someone from the courthouse sold it to a gossip blog. Within hours, it was everywhere. YouTube millionaire let baby die rather than spend money on surgery. His subscribers turned on him. Comment sections filled with rage. Sponsorships were pulled. Videos were demonetized. His channel went from 5 million subscribers to 2 million in 3 months. He tried to do damage control, posted a tearful video claiming it was a misunderstanding, and that divorce proceedings were bringing out the worst in both of us. I responded with a video of my own, not on YouTube, on TikTok. A simple 2-minute video of me sitting in Lily's empty nursery, holding her hospital bracelet, telling the truth. My daughter died because my husband valued his bank account more than her life. He had the money. He chose not to spend it. No amount of crying on camera will change that. It went viral. 20 million views in 48 hours. News outlets picked it up. Podcasters discussed it. Other YouTubers made response videos. Brandon's career was over. He sent me an email 6 months after the divorce was finalized. "I hope you're happy. You destroyed my life. Everything I built, gone, because you couldn't let go of your anger." I wrote back one sentence. "You destroyed our daughter's life. I just made sure you couldn't profit from it." I never heard from him again. Today I live in Phoenix. Bought a small house with my divorce settlement. Nothing fancy. 3 bedrooms, a backyard, a neighborhood where kids play in the street. I quit my job in social media. Couldn't stomach the influencer world anymore. Went back to school. Got my teaching credential. Now I teach 2nd grade at a public school. I make $48,000 a year. I drive a used Honda. I shop at Target. And I'm happier than I ever was in that mansion in Beverly Hills. I visit Lily's grave every Sunday, bring her flowers, tell her about my week. Tell her I'm sorry I married a man who valued money more than her life. Tell her that I fought for her even though it was too late. The money from the divorce? I donated most of it, $100,000 to the children's hospital where Lily died, specifically for families who can't afford life-saving surgeries. $50,000 to a nonprofit that helps women leave financially abusive relationships. $50,000 split between various children's charities. The rest I put in a trust for my future. If I ever have another child, they'll have everything they need. Every medical bill paid, every opportunity available, everything Brandon refused to give Lily. I'm dating again, slowly, a teacher at my school. He's kind, honest, and when I told him about Lily, he cried. Real tears, not performance tears. I can't imagine, he said, holding my hand. I'm so sorry you went through that. He's not rich. He drives a 10-year-old Corolla and lives in a one-bedroom apartment. We go on dates to food trucks and free concerts in the park. And it feels real. It feels safe. Because I learned the hardest lesson of my life. Money doesn't make a man good. Character does. And Brandon had all the money in the world and none of the character. So here's what I need from you. If you've ever been in a relationship where money was used to control you, comment controlled. If you think Brandon deserved to lose everything, comment justice. If you believe no amount of money matters if you don't have integrity, comment truth. But most importantly, subscribe right now. We're building a community where women support each other, where we share the stories no one wants to hear, where we remind each other that we deserve better. Hit subscribe, hit like, share this with every woman who needs to know that leaving is possible, that justice is possible, that healing is possible. My name is Ivy Martinez. I'm 32 years old. My husband was a millionaire on YouTube, but couldn't save the life of our baby. He had the money. He chose not to spend it. My daughter died, and I made sure he could never profit from her death again. Thank you for listening to my confession.